Hello! Welcome YouTube. My name's Chris. I'm a graduate student at the University of Waterloo, working in the audio research group. And I produce music using Ableton Live in my spare time. And I'm mostly a keyboard player. And as a keyboard player, I've noticed that Ableton is lacking in a few key areas and instruments. One of those instruments being a good Hammond organ sound. So I'm going to show you guys today how I recreate a Hammond organ with drawbars that you can manipulate, and we're going to be using the operator synth sine waves to create that. And I'm also going to do a Leslie effect on top of that. So give this video a thumbs up if you find it useful. Subscribe. I'm going to come out with a lot more videos from now on, and I'll be doing more tech stuff and giving kind of my perspective on producing and sort of some of the tips and tricks that I've learned, both researching this for my degree as well as as a hobby. Thanks so much. Okay, welcome. So here we are in Ableton, and we'll get started making the Hammond organ. So the first thing we're going to need is an instrument rack, and I'm going to throw an operator in there. So we're going to use the operator to represent each of the 9 drawbars. The next thing we're going to need is, because we're going to be duplicating this operator, I'm going to throw down a utility. We'll have 9 of them going, so I'm going to reduce the gain just to save our ears to about, minus 24 dB or so. And then from the audio effects as well, I'm going to drag a tuner into that instrument rack. And that's what's going to help us tune up the different harmonics that we're going to be using. Lastly, if we go over to the MIDI effects, I'm going to go in their velocity, fix 127. So we're going to fix the velocity to 127. So for people who don't know, on an organ, it actually doesn't respond to velocity control. So no matter how hard you hit the keys or how softly, the volume stays the same level. So we're going to fix that velocity at 127. Next up, we're going to need a pitch, and we're going to pitch down the instrument, the whole instrument, minus 12 semitones, so full octave down. And the reason for that is because, an operator, the 2 lowest drawbars on an organ are actually below the fundamental, so we need to bring the whole instrument down 12 semitones since our coarse control only goes up. So once we have all that, I'm going to duplicate this operator with the tuner 8 times, so we have 9 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we go. So now we can start, if I play, we just have, 9 total operators going on, then the utility cuts that gain way down. So for the first drawbar, that's the 16, it's going to stay the same, so that is a full octave down, and we have it as a full octave down. The next drawbar is an odd harmonic, and that's 5 1/3. And so we're going to be looking for the first G that comes below our fundamental. And so, if I remember correctly, that comes at coarse control of 3. And so that is 5 semitones down from our fundamental. Next up, we get the fundamental, which is 4. And so that is going to then be the C after. So if you remember, our G was at 3, so we're looking for the C after, so coarse goes to 4. Next up, we have the 8-inch pipe, and that's going to be another C, and it's going to be an octave above our fundamental. So right now 4 is our fundamental, so if we go there, it's playing a C. So we want to go a full octave above that, and so that is going to be a coarse control of 8. There we go. Next is the 2 2/3 pipe, so that is also going to be odd, so we're then going up to 8, and we're going to look for the next G that we find. There we go, there's G, so that's a 12th, or 19 semitones above our fundamental. Next up, we have the 2-inch pipe, and we're going to take that coarse control all the way up to 16, looking for, of course, a C. Next up, we have the 1 3/5 pipe. This is also an odd harmonic, but it's going to be, we're looking for an E. So it's a 17th or 28 semitones. So let's just bring it back up to that 16, which is what the 2-inch pipe was at. And we're going to be looking for the next E. There we go. And as you can see, we're actually a bit flat. So the operator isn't producing that harmonic perfectly, but that's okay. That's why we have a fine control. So I'm going to just play the note, watch the tuner, and adjust the fine control until the E is in tune. A little overshot. There we go. Perfectly in tune. Next up is the 1 1/3 pipe. And so that is going to be a 19th or 31 semitones above the fundamental. And so if I look, that corresponds to a coarse control of 24. And then lastly, we have the 1-inch pipe, which corresponds to a coarse control of 32. Or 2 octaves. And so there we go. That is our full, let's just check. Everything's in tune. So as you can see, going down, if you were to recreate this in your own Ableton session, so remember you have the pitch set to -12. And then your first operator, the coarse control is set at 1. Your next operator, it's set at 3. Your next operator, it's set at 4, at 8 after that, and then 12, 16, 20, 24, and 32. And now if I actually open up, and if I open up here, these are our actual drawbars, so I can take out the upper harmonics and do the first 4 drawbars for that iconic Hammond organ sound. You know, first 4 drawbars out. And so the last little piece of this, so to get that iconic, you know, organ sound, there's typically a Leslie speaker that it gets run through. And what a Leslie speaker does is it's 2 sets of rotating speakers, one for the high frequency, it's a tweeter, and then one for the bass frequency is the woofer, and they both spin, and they spin at different speeds. And that is what creates that, you know, like that wah organ sound. You'll hear it when we do it. So we're going to recreate that effect as well. And so in order to do that, I'm going to need an audio effect rack thrown on here. And then with that, I'm going to throw an EQ8 and an auto pan. The auto pan is going to go after the EQ8. And then I'm going to duplicate that. So now we have 2 sets of these EQ8 with auto pan. First one I'm going to call high. The second one I'm going to call low. And so that's going to represent the upper tweeter, and this is going to represent the lower tweeter. And so for the high one, we're going to do a high pass filter, and we're going to go to about 323 or so. There you go, about 330. Yeah, 315. So we're going to EQ out a lot of the high frequencies. And then from there, you know, the amount, about 50% sounds good. And the speed, we'll leave the speed where it is right now. So there we go. And then for the, you know, the low woofer, that's going to be handling the low frequencies. We're going to low pass it at about, I would say, 1,000 hertz or so. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the amount up to about 50%. And we'll increase the speed a little bit. There you go. So you can hear the sort of wavering of the organ as it pans left and right. The last important thing is, so it's fun to, with an organ, the thing that makes the instrument so great is that you can mess about with the controls. So already you can MIDI map these faders to your MIDI controller and play around with it that way. But we want to make sure that you can actually map the audio effects. So I'm going to go on the map the Leslie to say a button or a knob. So in order to do that, I'm going to go and click on the macro knob button and click map. And so now I'm going to click this first rate on the high speaker is going to be mapped up. This first rate is going to be mapped to the first knob, and we're going to do the same thing with the rate. We're going to map it to the first knob as well, and we're going to call this knob the Leslie speed. And now very important, so the two speakers actually spin at different frequencies. So for the high, we're going to go from about 1 hertz to 6.5 hertz. And for the low, we're going to go from about 2 to 19 hertz or so. So the low is actually spinning a little bit faster in our case. And so now we can play it. And that's the Leslie spinning slow. And then I'm going to turn up the knob and you'll hear the Leslie sort of speed up. And of course the effect gets more pronounced if you bring in these other drawbars. So we'll do that. And we'll go, where's our Leslie knob? And there you go. And that's how you make a Hammond organ in Ableton. So if you were following along in Ableton, great. And you can just copy these course numbers as I went through them. And same with the Leslie, you know, the rate here is going from 1 hertz to 6.5 and 2 hertz to 19. If you're following along in any other DAW that has a synth kind of like operator and the structure to make these instrument racks, then I'll put in the description a whole chart of what the semitones you need are in order to get the proper organ sound. But there you go. That's our organ sound in Ableton Live that you can play with drawbars and Leslie. So I'll put this all in a pack for you guys to download and mess around with on your own. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next video.